You used the phrase about just kind of perceptions, etc.
Hmm.
Laws that tell me I have to. And this brings me next to something that's been on the back of my mind. Could you talk about the United States Department of Justice and this April 2026 date for university digital resources to be accessible?
Ooh, April 24th of 2026. Yes. This one has a lot of IT and campus leaders worrying right
Yeah,
now. And
yeah.
in my own work at UW-Madison, I've talked with a lot of instructors who are saying, what do I have to do?
Hmm.
What is this new legal requirement? We are now less than 1 year away from the enforcement of a Title II rule under the Americans with Disabilities Act. It says that any institution who serves a taxpayer base of more than 50,000 people must have all of their web content and mobile apps comply with the Web Content Accessibility Group, or WCAG, WCAG,
Hmm.
version 2.1, level AA standards for digital accessibility. Let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
In plain language, listeners, if your institution serves a large taxpayer base, note that the criterion isn't by how many enrollments you've got, but the size of the government entity that supports your work. So if you're a community college and you work in a small city and there are fewer than 50,000 people who support that tax base, you've actually got an extra year. But for most of us, you have until April 24th, 2026 to make your web and digital content conform to those WCAG industry
Mhm.
standards. Now, from our earlier part of our conversation, this requirement falls under that base accessibility we talked about earlier, just making it possible.
Sure.
It's not a surprise, though. The WCAG standards, they've been in place for decades now.
Mm.
It's just never been enshrined in federal law as a requirement. So lots of colleges and universities have already been following the WCAG standards internally for their primary websites, for their marketing content, but we've almost all been more lax in requiring departments and instructors individually to follow those accessibility standards. Now, WCAG is a deeply detailed set of requirements. There's 50 in all, and there's more being added in version 2.2 pretty soon.
Mm.
Few instructors even know that they exist. 99% of our instructional and web designers, though, they are keenly aware of these standards. So
Yeah.
I expect that the few folks on campus who know about them will be getting panicked emails from worried administrators and instructors if you aren't
Hmm.
already. Listeners, watch for communication very soon from your campus leaders about workshops, training, minimum must do actions as we're heading into summer and fall of 2025. And you can check out ada.gov for more information by searching for WCAG 2.1.
Wonderful. And we will have links to that in the description. What excites you? We've done a little bit of looking ahead. What excites you, Tom, about the future of universal design for learning?
Well, I'm always encouraged when I see entire schools and systems lowering access barriers for learners in a concerted and intentional way. I'm looking forward to seeing more examples like Atlantic Technological University, or ATU, in Ireland. Their team is led by Maureen Horan and Neve Plunkett. Their UDL journey, it's a splendid example for other colleges and universities who would like a completed model to examine. So, listeners, the ATU team started by examining the inequities that are designed into the existing Irish education model. They had separate special education and vocational educational schools that limited educational opportunities for learners who didn't fit that normative mainstream system of tertiary education, vocational, further, higher education beyond secondary schools. So in 2017, they started building on grassroots efforts. They invited external speakers to give talks and workshops about UDL and lowering access barriers. I was privileged to be one of them. And in 2018, ATU employees began earning a UDL digital badge credential that was newly offered by AHEAD. They're an Irish disability advocacy organization. Throughout 2018, they started to be intentional about observing patterns among their learners, recognizing that the majority of learners at their university were working adults with time poverty challenges.
Yeah.
By 2019, ATU had built recurring cohorts of UDL champions, secured funding for their pilot UDL study, and established a formal UDL working group with the support of their campus leaders. And then in the following year, in the teeth of the global COVID-19 pandemic, they established online UDL resources, created training modules,
Wow.
and purchased
Wow.
inclusive tools like Blackboard Ally. And in recent years, what had started as a pilot project, that grew to become an operational element of the whole university. We talked about making
Wow.
it just what we do, right?
Yep.
With UDL as the focus of a celebratory conference and implemented across the institution's IT systems and practices. In fact, ATU was designated a UDL institution by the Irish government in 2022, and they're continuing to expand their UDL efforts within their own units and in collaborations with partner organizations throughout Ireland. In fact, our colleagues at ATU recently developed and offered a master's degree program in universal design for learning. That helps to ensure that new practitioners will get hired throughout the Irish college education system along with 14 other colleges and universities and 6 national agencies, the 6 Irish Education and Training Boards, or ETBs, with the Irish accreditation agencies and Ahead Ireland. ATU spearheaded the National Altitude Project. That's right now starting with a countrywide adoption of a national charter for universal design in tertiary education. So today and in the future at ATU and now throughout Irish college education, UDL is an everyday element of the curriculum, the design, and teaching that's happening everywhere. It's just what they do. Talk about scaling up.
Yeah. Yeah. Bravo ATU and Irish higher education. That's phenomenal.
Indeed.
Join us for the conclusion of ADEIL's UDL at Scale conversation with Dr. Thomas J. Tobin. We talk about Star Wars.